Hi, I'm here today with Tyler Forte, who's my senior analyst in the Orange Value Fund. Um, the Orange Value Fund is a 2-year money management program, and I wanted to ask you, Tyler, what do you think has been beneficial? But first, I wanted to know what's your background
hmm
before you came into the Orange
Sure.
Value Fund?
So again, thank you for having me today.
Absolutely.
My background before I came into the Orange Value Fund, originally I've been investing all my life, since the age of 7 actually. I bought my first stock, and really just growing up, I've always been interested in public markets and in investing in public companies, for a couple different reasons, but really my main drive was to become wealthy, to make money out of it, as I think most people do. And so, a little bit about me. I'm from Long Island, New York, a finance and accounting major here at Syracuse University, and I've enjoyed my time here greatly. I first heard about the Orange Value Fund when I was a senior in high school, and I was applying to colleges, and on each of my college visits, I went up to the business school and I said, "Hey, do you guys have some type of hedge fund or money management program, something that was more than just an investment club?" Because investment clubs are a dime a dozen
Sure.
in universities. And so when I heard that Syracuse had a $2 million at the time hedge fund, it excited me to no end. And I actually, when I got back from my visit from my college tour, I had emailed one of the at the time senior analysts, just to try and get his opinion on the fund and kind of his opinion about Syracuse University. And that was really the deciding factor that led me to really pursue an education at Syracuse University.
Okay, sure. So now that you are at Syracuse
hmm
University, started studying finance, once you got into the Orange Value Fund, what do you
Right.
think was the most effective or most important or pivotal things that the Orange Value Fund had to offer in terms of educating students far, I guess, a step above than the average finance student would get?
Sure. So coming into the Orange Valley Fund, I really didn't know what to expect. I knew it was a 2-year money management program where you had the ability to take other finance classes that your typical finance major wouldn't be able to take. And that's something that really excited me. Um, Looking beyond the education for a second, one of probably the most beneficial aspects of being a member of the Orange Value Fund, which I think is greatly overlooked, is the networking capabilities. Um, so on the first day that I was inducted into the Orange Value Fund, I immediately got a list of, at the time it was about 100 names of all past alumni that had been through the program. And these alumni are, extremely smart, and they're currently at the world's most prestigious firms. You have, alumni who are at investment banks, who are at private equity firms, and so on. And so gaining access to this network was really one of the most beneficial things. And I've time and time again have relied on the alumni to advance my own personal career.
Mm-hmm.
Again, looking besides the education of the Orange Value Fund, networking is probably one of the greatest aspects. Now, as far as the education, like I had mentioned, the Orange Value Fund gives members the ability to take finance classes that your typical finance major wouldn't have the ability to take. For example, I've taken financial modeling for investment banking. I have taken financial derivatives. I've taken control investing, distress investing, value investing, and the list goes on and on. Um, I think that many of these classes, by the way, are taught by Professor Fernando Diz, who really only teaches the Orange Value Fund members. And he kind of instills a teaching style that is very different from a lot of the other finance professors here at Whitman. He's all about really learning by doing and not really learning by looking at textbooks or looking at past cases. So I would say taking the ability to take these specialized classes really helped me out, as far as an educational standpoint. Now, possibly the third, most unique factor about the program is the ability to go on road shows. Like I keep saying, this is a 2-year money management program, and kind of each semester we go on what's called a road show. So the road shows entail us going to various firms. Many of the time they're in New York City. We've gone to the Carlyle Group. We've gone to Third Avenue. We've gone to various investment banks, and we actually get to pitch our idea in front of a whole group of bankers.
Mm.
Now, this is really important because, throughout college, sure, most students will present, whether it be in a class or in a club, but having the opportunity to present all of your research over the whole course of the semester at this final kind of roadshow is all-encompassing. And not only that, but, again, the people that you're presenting to are some of the smartest people in the world, and they'll really poke holes in your investment thesis if it's not airtight. Now, while many can say, oh, you can kind of, learn how to present over time, and you can take classes to help you present, which I have done here at Whitman, there's nothing like presenting in front of a group of individuals that, if you're off on something, they're going to point it right out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, while it was a very fast learning curve, it was probably one of the most beneficial things that the Orange Valley Fund has given me. Again, the ability to present what I've researched the entire semester on this one day to some of the smartest people that I've met personally, not only has made me a better presenter, but it's given me the confidence to present in front of large groups of all sorts of type of people.
Sure. Well, given that the Orange Valley Fund, it's catered mostly to try to, I guess, push people towards the investment banking
Right.
or equity research type role.
Mm-hmm.
You were unique in that you interned it over the summer at a venture capital
Right.
firm, and now you're going to go off to
Sure.
work with them after you graduate. How do you think that what we learned in the Orange Valley Fund was applicable even in a completely different
Sure.
sort of financial institution?
Sure, I definitely do. Again, like you said, a lot of the students that go to the through the fund either end up working in sales and trading or investment banking. And I was a bit different in the fact that I wasn't interested in doing that. I didn't want to work for a huge bank where I felt as though, what I was saying wasn't really making a difference. So I had the unique opportunity to intern at a venture capital firm where instead of looking at publicly traded companies, I was looking at private startups to invest in. And while some may say that they're, the skills that you learn maybe aren't transferable, I would say that's completely false. The skills that I learned in the Orange Valley Fund, mainly financial modeling and just the ability to research, really came in handy when looking at these startups. Now, some people say, oh, the ability to research, what does that even mean? And how is that a skill that you've acquired? What I mean by that is, in the Orange Valley Fund, we take SEC documents, so Security and Exchange Commission documents. This could be 10Ks, 10Qs, other filings. And these documents are sometimes upwards of 600 pages. Now, what I have to do to provide value is go through these documents and pick out only the most important things so that my research, is maybe at the end of the day a 20-page report, not a 600-page document. And the ability to take, such an aggregated amount of information and really bring it down to a short report is what I mean by my skill with research. It's something that you have to develop over time. It's not something that comes overnight. So that was, definitely applicable to venture capital because you're taking all this industry data, all this company data, and at the end of the day, you have to make a recommendation. Should I invest in this startup or should I not? The second part, financial modeling. Like I said, the ability to take specified courses that other finance majors aren't necessarily able to take, and by that I mean financial modeling for investment banking, was extremely important because learning how to use Excel, use it effectively, and create financial models is really what the whole finance industry relies on.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I add value to any firm that I'm working at. It's the ability to make certain key assumptions and kind of have a final product saying, hey, this is where you can help grow. So, again, learning financial modeling at Whitman and at school really was transferable to my internship at Loeb Enterprises, just because some of the projects that I had while I was interning entailed financial modeling. For example, I had to recommend a valuation for this one startup we were thinking about investing in, and for that I made a very extensive financial model. I also had to recommend a multiple that we should sell one of our portfolio companies at And again, for that, I made a financial model. Um, Now, financial modeling doesn't only come in handy when you're trying to either invest or sell a company, it could also be instrumental in the growth of a company and accelerating the growth of a company. So while I was at Loeb, I came up with a financial model for one of the portfolio companies that we had, and putting key assumptions, all with uh, the final goal of accelerating the growth of the startup. You know, what sales strategy should they have? Which one works better? Should I do direct sales, or should I, kind of go through a secondary way of selling my product?
Right.
So that was all very transferable and very instrumental, even though I did not pursue an internship or career specifically in investment banking.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, now that you're gonna go off to work at Loeb,
Hmm.
going into the future, obviously in college, we all have this goal of many of us in the Orange Valley Fund going into investment banking,
Right.
whatever. Now that you've got to your position of now I have this position at Loeb,
Right.
where do you see yourself going into the next 5, maybe even 10 years?
Sure. So it's interesting. Venture capital actually suits me very well because my goal throughout life has always been to make the biggest impact I could have.
Mm.
And growing up, I thought the way I do that is by making a ton of money, either working for a hedge fund or what have you, and donating the money at one point in time, in the future, to make a big impact. I've learned that I could do both, make a lot of money and make a big impact along the way through the venture capital industry. Reason being is that if you have a startup, right, you have a company that's very young, it's not very likely that they're going to make it. Within startups, there's about a 10% chance that your business will actually succeed.
Sure.
And so, with the help of a venture capitalist, they don't only provide capital, they also provide strategic advice and so on. And so, if you look at the companies that are around today, the Fortune 500 companies, many of them wouldn't actually be around without the advice and capital provided by a venture firm. And so, like I said, this industry suits me very well because I could have a large impact on both the world and on these individual companies by helping them not only in regards to funding, but taking the techniques I've learned as a member of the Orange Value Fund, such as my financial modeling ability, my ability to network, and help accelerate the growth of these startups so that they themselves can make a big impact on the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. Well, thank you very much for chatting with me today,
Mm-hmm.
Tyler. I really appreciate hearing your perspectives on things.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.